Starting a business can be really exciting, but also really daunting. And I went through this a couple years ago when I was starting to think about all the different types of businesses I could potentially start. But luckily for me, I have a business degree and I've been working in the tech industry for more than 13 years. So I was able to map out all the different things I wanted to do and then also evaluate them to see if they are even worth pursuing. So in this video, I'm going to break down all the different things that you should be thinking about before you even get started, because if you don't think about all these things, it could cost you a lot of money down the line or a lot of time. Either way, it's a huge loss. One of the first things we have to do when we're doing our evaluation of the business idea is we need to see what problem are we even solving. If there's no problem that we're trying to solve and we just think we want to start a business, then that business is definitely going to fail. We also have to think about what skills do we have to even solve that problem? Like, what's our competitive advantage? Do we even have the know-how and the skill set to figure out how we're going to solve this problem that exists out there? Another thing we should be thinking about is this a product or a service? It could even be a digital product that people pay for, like software is a product, or it could be also a consulting service that you're providing to other people. But it could also be something like a software as a service where people are paying you subscription fee, licensing fee to use your service. Another thing we also have to think about is this service is even unique enough, because if there's already stuff like this out there, then is it worth pursuing? Or are you just going to be competing with the existing giants and trying to carve out your own market share in there? So what are the unique skills that you have and what are the unique expertise you have in order to start this? What is the competitive advantage you have in the industry, and what can we do that others cannot do? See, when something is so easy to do that anyone else can do the same thing, then is that even worth pursuing? Because now you're just competing with all the other people who can enter the market. Okay, so you think you have the problem figured out, you know how to solve it, but will people even buy it? You have to test that out. What's the unique value proposition that you bring to the table? Why do people need you to solve the problem? There are a couple different ways businesses evaluate if they need something or not. Like, one thing is that they can have something that's going to bring them more value, more revenue. The other thing is like, well, what happens if you don't have this product or service? How much money are you going to be losing? How much customers are you going to be losing? So that's another way you can think about where you can solve the problem and why people need it. Okay, so at this point, we've looked at what the overall problem is, how many people have it. We've done all the market and industry analysis to take a look at how big this problem is and how many people are already solving it. If there are people solving it, then can we do it better? So we need to start thinking about the solution. So in this step, we're going to start looking at what are the different ways that we can solve the problem and what are the different skills that we have, making just a list of all the ways that this problem can be solved. And then you also might want to evaluate how hard it is for you to do that. So let's take a look at some examples. Let's say that there are a bunch of small businesses that in the past have not done many things electronically, and we want to help them go from file-based systems to the cloud, and that way they can help scale as they go, because traditionally if they wanted to get their own servers and their whole infrastructure, that would have cost them a lot of money. But now, because with cloud, we can start small and we can scale up. So let's say we are cloud experts and we want to help small businesses scale their business using technology. So we need to start thinking about how can we put this service together, and if this service is even worth doing. We might even want to validate that this is something that small businesses would be willing to pay for. So you might want to test out some things. You might want to figure out how much it might cost. You might even want to think about some pre-built solutions different businesses could use to scale up, and you just come out there as someone who can implement that solution. So we want to start thinking about what's already out there that we can use. What are the different cloud technologies we want to use? If it's something we want to build from scratch, how much it would cost. So all the different things that we want to figure out using our solution. Now that we know how we want to be solving this problem, let's also look at how we're going to be reaching to these people that we're going to be solving the problem for. So this is where the marketing comes in. We need to figure out how we're going to get to them. A lot of the stuff that we did up front where we looked at the industry analysis, that should really help us figure out who our audience is. By identifying who they are, what the market is, we can start looking at, okay, how are we going to reach out to them? If these are the small businesses that we want to provide technology solutions for, where do we need to go find them? And where do they hang out? What channels are we going to use to market to them? Is this going to be email marketing, or is this going to be face-to-face? How are we basically going to tell them about the service that we have? So that's one way of going for the sales. But then the other way is, how will they find you? How will they know if you're even a real business or provide a real service that they can evaluate? One of the big key things in marketing and sales is social proofing. People will tend to buy things that they know it has worked for other people. So what's your plan for getting testimonials? At the very minimum, you're going to need at least a website or some sort of an online social presence where you can see where other people can find you and see you. Kind of like how I have a YouTube channel. People can find me, they can see who I am. Another thing we can think about is, well, how are we going to sell our services? Is this going to be a completely online service? Are we going to be able to do this without ever meeting them in person? People typically like to build relationships in person. So is this going to be something that you can do in businesses or areas near you? All right, now it's time to start talking about money, money, money. There's so many different costs that come with starting a business. So we also have to think about, when we're evaluating a business idea, is how much money is it going to take to get started with this? If something costs like $30,000 just to get started with all the equipment, the different people you need to hire, pay them salaries, or build out a product or a service, then how much money is it going to cost you up front before you even start seeing any revenue in it? So one of the big factors I consider for my businesses is my startup cost. Luckily for some of the businesses I've started, all I needed was some computers, lights, equipment, cameras, and microphones, especially if I'm doing some sort of a coaching session or just some services online, or a powerful computer if I'm starting to build out an online service. But that also means that I need to now think about different types of licenses for the different software that's out there. I need to think about the monthly subscription that's going to come along with it. All these things are going to cost me. And I also need to think about the different types of legal structure that I need to have in place. Then you have to think about the lawyers that need to be involved and the different kinds of contracts that you have to have in place to get started with some of this kind of stuff. The service agreements, terms of services, data and privacy regulations. And if you're dealing with some sort of a business that you're going to be having some sort of services for them, you also will have to probably think about some sort of a business insurance to get started. What does it cost you to run the business from week to week, month to month? We have to figure out that if you're going to be starting something from scratch. Some businesses you can start with little to no money up front, and then you can generate a lot of revenue like that, and then put in back into your business to grow it like that. But some of them, if you have people that you've hired, and are you leasing out an office space? Another really important thing is that we have to think about is how we're going to get paid. What are the terms and conditions we need to put in our contract? Are we going to be collecting money up front? Or is this going to be some sort of a money that they will pay us after we've performed the service? And is it going to take them 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? How fast are we going to be able to get our money? Especially for something like consulting. I remember when I was working at IBM, my manager would write up a report every single month. And it was a very big thing where we had to provide a bunch of metrics and all sorts of things to make sure this report was done. I was brand new out of college. I had no idea why this was important, but he told me this is how we get paid. If we don't take this report and give it to the administrators, the client, then we will not have a job next week. So we had to make sure that we produce this deliverable. So this needs to be figured out up front. Are we going to be getting paid based on our deliverables we provide? Is it a report? Is it an assessment? Or is it based on hourly rate that we've set in place? And that's how we get paid. So you have to think about all these kinds of things, how we're going to be getting paid per client, and what's the best cost structure that makes sense for your business. Let me know if this is the kind of stuff that helped you out, but also more importantly, let me know what else you want to know. What are you struggling with? Where are you in the journey of getting started with your business? I have a ton of content around business and consulting, technology in general. If you got any value out of this video, please give it a like. It helps my self-esteem, boosts my confidence, and helps me make more videos. Just kidding. It helps the YouTube algorithm to push this video out to more people and help them. If you need an easier way to get started with tech consulting, check out this video up here. And if you want to figure out how to level up, then definitely check out this one here. And I'll see you in the next one.